Taking on with my Spielberg review series, we get to the movie that not only changed Spielberg's career forever, but arguably changed Hollywood forever. Jaws. This is widely considered the first true blockbuster, and that term means more than just a movie that made a lot of money. Before Jaws, most films slowly rolled out city by city over several months, but Jaws was one of the first movies to open nationwide with a huge marketing push, especially on television. Audiences lined up around the block, hence the term blockbuster, for hours in the summer heat just hoping to get a ticket. And this was decades before online ticket sales, reserved seating, mobile apps, or even multiplexes being everywhere. If you wanted to see a movie like this on opening weekend, you had to physically wait in line and hope the theater didn't sell out before you got to the front. The experience itself became an event. People weren't just seeing a movie, they were all experiencing something together. What's fascinating is that the movie became so culturally massive it genuinely affected people's behavior. Beach attendance reportedly dropped at least 30% because audiences were suddenly terrified of sharks. Now, statistically, shark attacks are actually very rare, but I get why they were cautious. This movie tapped into one of humanity's oldest fears, not knowing what's beneath you in the dark water. Now, one of the biggest reasons the movie works 50 years later is the score by John Williams. It is one of the most iconic scores ever composed. With just two repeating notes, Williams created a universal feeling of dread. Even people who have never seen Jaws instantly recognize the theme and associate it with sharks. That's how deeply the film embedded itself into pop culture.
Oh no. SpongeBob, quick, reel it in! Can't you hear the music? That's a 4/4 string ostinato in D minor! Every sailor knows it means death! Reel it in before it's too late! Hurry, SpongeBob! The music is getting faster! There you are, you stinking bilge rat! Stop playing that music! Stop it, please! I'm begging ya!
It's amazing how simple it is musically and how psychologically effective it remains. What makes the movie even more brilliant is that we barely see the shark for most of the runtime. A huge reason for that was because the animatronic shark, nicknamed Bruce, constantly malfunctioned during production. The ocean water kept ruining the mechanics, and Spielberg had to improvise around the limitations. But honestly, this is one of the greatest examples in movie history of production problems accidentally improving a film. Because Spielberg was forced into a less is more approach, the movie became scarier because of it. What you imagine in your mind is almost always more terrifying than what a movie can physically show you. Examples of this include movies like The Blair Witch Project or The Gallows, where the audience fills in the blanks mentally. Jaws trusts viewers to imagine the horror instead of constantly shoving it in your face. If this movie were made today, I guarantee you the shark would probably be fully shown in every trailer months before release and ruin the suspense. Modern trailers often reveal entire movies, and I think Jaws benefits enormously from the mystery and restraint. A modern version would also probably focus far more on graphic carnage, constant attacks, loud jump scares, and aggressive music stings every 5 minutes. It would likely mistake noise for tension. Spielberg instead focuses on atmosphere, the characters, and the anticipation. Because of that, the immersion never breaks. Even though some of the shark effects may look a little bit dated by modern standards, the film still works because your imagination does most of the heavy lifting. There are also little details that are really cool, like Quint being the fifth person who's killed in the movie. Quint himself is one of the greatest movie characters ever written, and his monologue about his experience in World War II is legendary. How about he survived shark-infested waters. It's very chilling. What's brilliant is that Spielberg never cuts away to flashbacks. We don't physically see what Quint is describing. We only hear his voice and imagine it ourselves. Now, normally people say that show don't tell is the golden rule of filmmaking, but I think this is a pretty good exception. The restraint makes the scene feel more human, more intimate, and honestly more horrifying. And I also appreciate the shark isn't treated like some misunderstood anti-hero. It's just nature. It kills because it's a predator. That's it. If this movie were made today, there's a good chance the shark would get some tragic backstory trying to make audiences sympathize with it. I know it sounds cliche to say they don't make them like this anymore, but honestly, they really don't. There's a simplicity to Jaws that feels rare. The movie's influence on Hollywood cannot be overstated. Without Jaws, we probably wouldn't get countless sharks and creature features afterward, and some of them are genuinely fun junk food entertainment that I enjoy, like Anaconda and the Sharknado series. Even movies blatantly trying to copy Jaws became important historically. Piranha 2, a sequel to Jaws-inspired knockoff, happened to be the directorial debut of James Cameron. So, technically, without Jaws, we would never get some of the greatest movies of all time, like Aliens, Terminator 2, Titanic, or Avatar.
An oversimplification of events, but yeah.
And also, fun little fact, the shark in Finding Nemo is named Bruce, because that was Spielberg's nickname for the animatronic shark. Some stories claim Spielberg named the shark after his lawyer, though sources are mixed on whether or not that's fully true, or just an urban legend that kept spreading over the years. Jaws is one of those rare movies where everything somehow came together perfectly. Through the directing, the editing, the pacing, the music, the performances, the atmosphere, the suspense, it all works. It's not just one of the greatest thrillers ever made, it's one of the greatest movies ever made, period. Spielberg didn't just direct a successful shark movie, he permanently changed Hollywood for the better. It's an absolute masterpiece and a perfect film. So for me, it gets an A+, a 10 out of 10, and 5 out of 5 stars.